Morning, America. I wanted to drop a little bit of knowledge on you all real quick. And it all comes down to why we don't want to label everything as terrorism and why we don't want to jump the gun and start calling everything that happens uh, a planned attack by, any organization, because we're going to create more fear than we're going to solve any problems with that. Now, when we think about how our brain likes to work and why we don't want to create more chaos in the situation that's already bad, and here's my crude drawing of the limbic system and the frontal lobe. Now, the limbic system is this little area which would be, if you look at the full brain, would be the bottom stem that connects to all your spinal cord and whatnot. Now, this is where all of our primitive thinking is, all our survival mechanisms and all our irrational thoughts and reaction before rational decision making. Now, when we provide more fear and more chaos, we start to resort to using this area of our brain more often than not. So when this area starts to become overactivated, it'll send a message to the frontal lobe and saying, hey man, I don't want to die. What are we going to do? Frontal lobe will return with a message that, hey man, I don't want to die either. You do what you do best. So then we'll have this limbic system taking over our thought processes and expressing ourselves irrationally. So if we're thinking irrationally and we're calling everything that we see a terrorist and everything that we see as dangerous to us, then we'll have these politicians that have no idea what it means to live in fear behind their gated communities, and have no idea what it means to be actually in the street, where a weapon is a source of protection, not a device of fear. The only time it's a device of fear is when some irrational individual gets it and uses it for what's the best word to use, for deadly purposes, for causing fear in others, for creating chaos and trying to push their personal agenda. Maybe there is some reality to the fact that they are sympathizing with some of these extreme groups, whether it's a Muslim extremist or it's some drug cartel Hispanics or some who knows. I'm falling into that association list also, and starting to call certain races as associated with extreme groups. But in reality, we can't. When we start to do that, we start to create more prejudice towards our communities, and we start to separate ourselves. And I've referred to this as a gang mentality, and I've caught a lot of heat from people that don't believe they're having gang mentality. But the truth is, when you start to separate yourselves from other people and you only associate yourself with the people that think like you do, then you know what, that is your gang. And that's what's going on in America, is that we're getting away from one people, one fight, and we're getting into this me against them, and oh, they're not like me, so I don't like them. And yeah, that's a natural response in nature for humans to react that way, but that is also primitive response. That is also decision making coming from your primitive thought processes. Is not a rational thought. If we used our rational thinking, we would understand that we need to be in this together, and we need to unite together to stop these things from happening. Pointing fingers and saying this is your fault, or this that's fault, or this that's fault, all it is creating more separation between us, and that's something we don't need. We need to be pulled together and say, hey, how are we together going to solve this, not how is one person going to come up with a plan, because we already know how his plans go. And honestly, he can come for our weapons, and the only reason why I would give him a couple of them is because, I'm not going to fight against good people only doing their job. But I guarantee you I'd be a criminal for the rest of my life because I would still have weapons. And so the bottom line of what I wanted to express here is don't be so quick to jump the gun. Don't be so quick to think irrationally. And it could be covered up that you think you're thinking rationally, but the reality is, unless you got the whole picture and you make a decision based on every full fact, you're not thinking rationally, you're thinking emotionally. And that's a primitive response, and that's a primitive decision, and that's something that is counterproductive to what we're trying to achieve here in the United States, and that is be a free land of free people. And right now we're not that. We're a bunch of separated people trying to get our needs met. And we'd make more progress if all of us realize that everybody's trying to reach the same goal, and that is to have peace and have a sense of safety in our own country. But anyhow, that's all I got, and I hope I at least made some sense to some of y'all. And I know most of y'all are gonna think I'm full of crap, and that's fine. Everybody's got their right to their opinions, but the few that listen, hopefully you can pass on that message and we create a domino effect, and eventually more people listen. And when we have more behind us, then we can pull more in, because as we know, people want to be part of the crowd. They don't want to be singled out. And right now I'm standing alone, but I'm all good with that, because eventually I'll have a crowd. So have a good day. Don't be afraid of stupidity. Just keep your eyes open and know that how you're gonna react if some idiot decides that he's gonna do something stupid today. But live your life in peace and live happy, think rationally, and get through the day. So have a good day, and I'm out. Rah.